Perfect.
Mirana's first skill is Star Storm, which deals magical damage to all enemy units in a 625 radius around her. Invisible units, units in the Fog of War, and magic immune units will not be targeted by Star Storm. Lincoln Sphere does not block Star Storm. Once the spell is cast, enemies will be hit by a meteor and dealt magic damage, even if they leave the AoE or go invisible before the meteor actually hits. It is, however, possible to prevent the damage by going magic immune in that small timing window. Star Storm also hits a random unit in a 175 radius a second time, dealing an extra 75% damage. In total, this target will take 131, 262, 394 or 525 magic damage. In comparison, Lena's ultimate at level 6 deals 450 damage and her Dagon's level 2 deals 500 damage. This second meteor will work under the following rules. It targets a random unit in a 175 radius around Mirana at the beginning of the spell. The unit targeted will be hit twice even if he goes invisible in the Fog of War or leaves the 175 radius before the animation of the second meteor. If the random target dies before the second meteor hits, another unit in the 175 radius will be selected as the second meteor falls. However, this time it will not target invisible units, units in the Fog of War, or units who left the 175 radius before the second meteor wave. In other words, and to put it simply, if you were originally targeted by the second meteor, you can't dodge it, otherwise you can. Since Starstorm ignores magic immune units, the second meteor will always select a non-magic immune target, so you can't waste it. Mirana's second skill is Sacred Arrow. With a range of 3000, it is one of the longest non-global skill shot on par with Clockwork's max level hookshot. The arrow travels in a straight line until the first enemy unit it hits, who is stunned and dealt magic damage. If the arrow disappears for no apparent reason, you probably just hit an invisible unit. If the target is magic immune, the arrow will be destroyed with no effect. Lincoln Sphere does not work against the spell. Sacred Arrow's damage and stun duration increase as it travels. At melee range, it will deal its base damage and stun for 0.5 seconds. For every 150 range it travels, the stun duration increases by 0.5 seconds and the damage by 10. Until reaching a maximum of 5 seconds and plus 100 damage at 1500 range, which corresponds to half of the max range of 3000. Unlike Enchantress Impetus, if Mirana moves after shooting the arrow, the range is calculated from where she shot the arrow instead of her current position. Sacred Arrow flies at the movement speed of 857 and has flying vision of approximately 500 day and night, which makes it a very useful tool to find sneaky heroes who blink into the forest to hide. Note that there currently is a strange graphic bug with point-blank arrows, which work as intended on the target, but will not disappear graphically. These phantom arrows don't deal any damage or stun and just keep traveling until reaching max range. Mirana's third skill is Leap, a pseudo-blink ability that makes her jump in the direction she's facing, similar to how Force Staff works. Unlike Force Staff, however, Leap will disjoint projectiles just like Blink does, although remember that some spells, like Alchemist's Unstable Concoction, cannot be disjointed by any mean. Dota All-Stars veterans should also know that True Sight does not disable Leap's disjoint mechanic anymore, as it is no longer based on a 1 millisecond windwalk. Something people often forget about Leap is that it also buffs all ally units in a 775 radius around Mirana before she leaps, which includes illusions, summon units, and even creeps. All units will get a 32 attack speed bonus and a 16% movement bonus for 10 seconds, which is a huge buff in teamfights. Mirana is not invincible while in midair, and will only disjoint projectiles which targeted her before she leaps. In other words, if Mirana is targeted while she's already in the air, she will not dodge the spell. Leap will ignore terrain and most spells, such as Disruptor's kinetic field, but will not escape Slark's pounce or go through Void's chronosphere. Unlike Blink, Leap can be used while immobilized by Ensnare and Entangle type spells such as Meeple's Earthbind or Crystal Maiden's Frostbite, and will simply stay immobilized after leaping to destination. Mirana can't use spells while leaping, but she can still use items. Unlike in Dota All-Stars, it is not possible to shoot the instant back arrow when leaping, but it is possible to shoot a faster back arrow. If you try to shoot an arrow behind you after leaping in a conventional manner, you'll find that Mirana has to turn around fairly slowly before shooting. However, if you click right in front of her while leaping, Mirana will turn while in midair and start to cast the arrow immediately after landing, bypassing the turn rate. The difference in those two games lies in the fact that Mirana can't cast secret arrows while in midair in Dota 2, so you will still have her cast animation before the arrow flies out, whereas in Dota All-Stars, Mirana seemingly poops an arrow out of nowhere while leaping. Mirana's ultimate is Moonlight Shadow and will target all ally heroes on the map, even if they're magic immune. Ally units such as Chen's Creeps, Visage Familiars, Lone Druid's Bear, or even Brewmaster's Brewlings will not be affected. Moonlight Shadow grants a buff very similar to Riki's permanent invisibility after a short fade time without any hostile action, attacking, casting a spell, or using an item. A hero affected by Moonlight Shadow will turn invisible. If a hero breaks invisibility, he will go invisible again after the fade time. Moonlight Shadow lasts for 15 seconds, the buff cannot be purged and will not be cancelled if Mirana dies. Just like Riki's ultimate, Silence will prevent heroes from going invisible again while silenced, but will not reveal units already invisible through Moonlight Shadow. That is actually a bug, as in Dota All-Stars, Silence reveals units under Moonlight Shadow. For example, in Dota 2, if Silencer uses Global Silence right after Moonlight Shadow, no one will go invisible for the entire duration of Global Silence. However, if he uses it after the fade time, it will not reveal anyone. Without engaging in any hostile action, a silent hero will go invisible as soon as the silence ends, and will not have to wait through the fade time again. Any other status which silences, such as Hex, will also prevent the target from going invisible for the duration.